Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binner and Ash Paulson to discuss the death of Miiverse. So, let's get started. Alright guys, that's a pretty dark note to open on, because with Miiverse just being dead. It's not dead yet though, we have a few months left with it, but Nintendo did announce last night that they're shutting it down on November 8th, and they put out a full list of games too that are affected by this, and it's quite a few. Granted, some games more than others, some significantly more than others. But I thought we should get together and talk about this, just because when Miiverse first came out, like it kind of seemed like a big deal. It seemed like this might be a direction Nintendo would want to continue in down the line, especially with it coming to 3DS, a year or two after it hit the Wii U. I think. I don't remember the exact timetable here. But now they are shutting it down completely across both platforms, even though the Wii U was basically already dead, but they're shutting it down everywhere. And yeah, that's it, which is all the more surprising considering the 3DS seems to be still a vibrant platform. So yeah, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, and I want to start off with you, Ash, in particular, because I know you're probably the biggest fan of Miiverse of all of us here. So what's your reaction to this? What did you think when you heard this news?
This is like the secret saddest thing about the death of the Wii U, in my opinion. Now, like, let me set the record straight. It's not like I was going on and posting on Miiverse all the time. I totally admit that I wasn't. I barely ever used Miiverse myself, but I loved just being an observer. I mean, for better and worse, Miiverse was social media as only Nintendo could do it. Literally only Nintendo could do it. And it was a beautiful disaster. I mean, what a train wreck that whole thing was, right? And I wanted to continue. You see a version of it in Splatoon 2, and already that is a train wreck. The very first message I saw when I started my new game in Splatoon 2 was a when she splats art with like a close-up of an inkling girl, and I'm like, this is so inappropriate. But Nintendo, for better and worse, built the social media platform for that to happen, and now that's gone. And I'm so you cannot replicate the experience of playing in the Smash Miiverse stage and having all sorts of inappropriate messages pop up when you get a kill with whoever. Like, oh, I'm gonna miss it.
Well, you just reminded me that I'm actually ecstatic it's gone now, because you can no longer spoil Game of Thrones for me by reading Miiverse messages in the Smash stage.
Exactly, that too. So, for better and worse, I'm gonna miss it. I mean, it makes sense, but I am gonna miss it.
Now, did you actually like Miiverse, authentically or more ironically?
Oh, 100% ironically. I never enjoyed actually using it. Like, no, I enjoy reading Miiverse posts in the same way I enjoy watching The Room. Yeah.
Right. Okay. How about you, Derek?
I maybe posted the Miiverse like 3-4 times. Didn't really use it or anything like that. I never really found a point to it. The best uses for it I ever saw were Splatoon. That's where I saw it the most, thanks to, Splatfest and all the artwork that would pop up around there as well. And, you see other social media say, look at this crazy post from Miiverse. And, that's where it was entertaining. Like, that's the entertainment, just like it crossing over to other things. But as far as using it myself, I never really saw a need to or felt a need to. And in that regard, I'm not too upset about it dying, but I know, like, there's a lot of people like Ash where it is this beautiful mess. And there's still some impressive things to see. Like, that's how we got our whole does Metroid crawl, or how does Metroid crawl thing. All this crazy Splatfest art. And then some of that really good art, like just gorgeous art that people were able to do with the Wii U and Miiverse. And it's one of those things that's conflicting. Like, on the most basic level, I don't care too much that it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually kind of agree. I'm definitely closer on the scale, or definitely closer on the spectrum to you than I am Ash, I think. Because although I do, I also appreciate some of those posts. Like, I never really read into them that much. In fact, I barely even use Miiverse that much. So, on that level, I also don't really care. Like, it's the kind of thing where, like, had I not read this story, or had Nintendo not shut it down, I probably would have never thought about Miiverse again, because I've already moved on to the Switch, where Miiverse already isn't a thing, and I barely use my 3DS anymore as well. So I was already kind of, in a way, past Miiverse. But on the other hand, I will admit, I am a little bit sad, just because it was a way for Nintendo gamers to get together and talk on this one central platform. And I will say, even though the really good uses of it were pretty limited on a game-by-game basis, the games that used it well really used it well. We've already talked about Splatoon. I think that's great, although that has carried over to Splatoon 2 in some ways. Super Mario Maker, I think, is perhaps the most devastating loss here, actually, because I actually did love how Miiverse was incorporated in that game, with you being able to leave comments within the levels, and as a level creator myself, I loved going through my own levels and seeing the comments people left on them. Seeing like where people, like where they decided to leave them, because the comment would actually appear in the level where they left it at. It was a really cool idea, and like turning or shutting down Miiverse kind of removes almost the heart of Mario Maker at this point. Even though Mario Maker will continue to work, you can still share levels. You will no longer be able to have any kind of feedback besides liking a stage now, I think, which is too bad. And then also I want to give a shout out to Wind Waker HD. I thought it was just kind of fun sailing the ocean, coming across these bottled messages and just seeing what people had to say, even though it was mostly just complete nonsense. I actually did like it in that sense, so maybe I'm closer to Ash in that regard.
Same with 3D World. I think 3D World had some fun ones as well, like what people would do with the stickers that you could get or the stamps that you would get as you go through the game. Like, there was some fun stuff. But I do agree with you. I do think Super Mario Maker suffers the most from this loss, especially because people made levels with Miiverse in mind, where they actually had little stories or little puzzles that you could have open and really be able to say this or this, or they used them really creatively, and now they either won't make sense or are unbeatable. I guess in some ways.
Yeah.
One of my complaints about the 3DS version of Mario Maker was that there was no form of feedback at all, and now Mario Maker on Wii U is kind of turning into that, and it is sad because the whole game is community based. But what's a community if you can't communicate? So, yeah, like, that to me is just a little bit disappointing. Even though, to be fair, I haven't played Mario Maker in quite some time. But now, like, if I wanted to go back and make a course, my incentive has dropped significantly. It's like, I like getting that feedback, and it's a bummer that's not an option. And I'm really hoping maybe this is a sign that Mario Maker 2 is coming down the line on Switch pretty soon, but I don't think it means anything, but that would be nice.
Well, I mean, it may not mean anything in itself, but the fact that Miiverse-esque features were carried forward into Splatoon 2 tells me that there may be some sort of localized social network platform within these games. So I think we all assume that Super Mario Maker is going to make an appearance on the Switch at some point,
right.
And I kind of fully expect that when it does happen to have its kind of own built-in commenting system or something, because it only makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, the real thing that I don't think is going to come back, obviously, is a Miiverse-esque stage in Smash Switch. And that's just a huge loss for me, because it's just so uniquely weird, right? I mean, there's no other Smash game has ever had anything like it, and it really is a different experience every time, depending on A, the characters you play as, and really B, whatever just crazy, inappropriate nonsense Miiverse decides to pull for that match specifically. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I've had so many just seriously, like, amazing like matches in the Miiverse stage with like my friends. We're all playing, four players, and we're all just roaring, just laughing so hard about some of the crazy stuff you see in that stage. And so I think for me, from like a personal, just pure fun factor standpoint, that is where I'm going to miss it the most. But I also agree, Mario Maker is a huge loss, and I also think from what you were saying, Xenoblade Chronicles X is a huge loss, and Smash, it's not just the Miiverse stage. Like, this affects a lot more. Like, you can't post to YouTube anymore. You can't share stages or create tournaments. Now, how many people are actually doing those things anyway, especially now? But still, it's a pretty significant blow to Smash in particular, in terms of just, it kind of hits so many different parts of the game.
Yeah, you're kind of hitting on something there, is that this not only removes the overall community features, it actually breaks some features of these games. We've already talked about Mario Maker, even though the game still works, I think they are kind of removing the soul of it with this. But beyond that, games like Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars, apparently now it's going to be impossible to unlock everything in this game, because you need to earn stars by playing or by interacting with Miiverse or via Miiverse. So now some people playing the game late, coming to it now, won't be able to get everything in the game. Mario Kart 8 is another game where you can no longer share replays to YouTube, because apparently also used Miiverse. So as part of that, it's not going to function at all. Xenoblade Chronicles you touched on, and I think there might be another one or two here that, like, what feature that just won't really work anymore.
It's weird. If Mario vs. Donkey Kong was a bigger game, it would definitely be the one that's the most devastating, because I did play that game, and yeah, what you did was you put out levels, and then people would tip you those stars, and those stars you would then spend to unlock even more stuff. Well, since you can't tip stars anymore, and receive stars or give stars or anything like that, well, all you can do is do the levels that are in the game, and that's it. You can't really use the title of the game, and that's kind of crazy. Again, it doesn't matter as much because it's just Mario versus Donkey Kong,
Right.
so I don't know how big the community for that was in the first place. But I also don't think it hurts Mario Kart 8 too much. I know there's still plenty of people that probably only have the Wii U and are only able to play the Wii U version, but at least other Mario Kart players have other options thanks to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We still have access to tournaments now thanks to that. But it also hurts Smash Brothers in the same way that you can't have tournaments and do all that stuff. There's no Smash Brothers replacement yet, so you're out without a major feature of the game. Because I assume tournaments. Ash would know this better than I would, but I'd assume tournaments were kind of popular.
Well, I think the idea of tournaments was popular, but then the completely half-assed way they implemented it into the game, I don't think was very popular. So, I don't think a lot of people were using tournaments or enjoying tournaments the way they were put into the game, but I also didn't know that they relied on Miiverse to even happen. So I was kind of surprised to find out that the death of Miiverse also meant the death of Smash Wii U tournaments and stage sharing, and I guess, if I'd looked into it, I would have realized it, but that's just a lot of features that are getting cut out of the game due to Miiverse going down. And to be fair, the Miiverse stage isn't being removed, but it's no longer going to, to push Miiverse posts to your screen in the background, and then at that point, it's just a reskinned Battlefield with different music, and that's just kind of a shame. So, yeah, no, it really, at first, on the surface, the death of Miiverse is oh, well, Miiverse, it's, that, and I wasn't really using it, and as much as I'm going to miss it, ironically, I wasn't using it much either. But when you kind of get into the nitty-gritty of how much it actually affects certain games, it's kind of a bummer. I was reading about Pushmo World. I never got into Pushmo, but that game's entire level sharing feature was based on Miiverse. So now Pushmo World players can't share levels anymore. And I actually just thought of another example right now, just kind of thinking about Wii U games, and that is Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight actually had uncommonly good Miiverse integration with the Digger's Diary, which let players kind of leave notes on a room by room basis for people who just wanted to leave silly notes or were actually having trouble. You could look up tips from other people, and it would refresh on a room by room basis. So you didn't have to exit out of the game, load up Miiverse. You could just look at your gamepad, and it was actually a really cool feature. And that's gone now too, or it will be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Now here's a question: do you think they are shutting this down too soon? I don't think the fact that they're shutting it down is surprising, but I am surprised that they're doing it this soon. Breath of the Wild, I guess, came out 6 months ago on Wii U, and yeah, that platform's been effectively dead. But the games still, work fine otherwise. You can still play these games online. I'm pretty sure people are still playing Mario Maker and Splatoon 1. And then we have the 3DS again, which is still for now, still a vibrant platform. And also, Nintendo mentioned, too, that the home screen icons for Miiverse are going to remain there. So it's so weird to me that you have an active platform, being the 3DS, with a dead home screen icon. That they're apparently not even going to patch out, or at least not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. There's not really much more to add to that. It's just weird that... it makes sense for the Wii U, not so much for the 3DS, but I also understand that they're likely connected. It's the same Miiverse. It's just on two different platforms.
Right.
And that's why if you lose it for one, it loses for the other. But still, as you said, it's vibrant on the 3DS, or at least more vibrant than the Wii U actually is. But maybe that's just an indication of how little people were using Miiverse on the 3DS, because I might have tried it out a few times on the Wii U, but I never touched Miiverse on the 3DS.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But do you think it's a sign maybe that they're starting to wind down the 3DS as well?
Not necessarily, because again, I do associate Miiverse more with the Wii U than the 3DS, and I know at least until the spring of 2018, they still have more games for the 3DS coming out. So it's not completely dead yet.
Yeah, I agree with Derek there. I don't, I associate Miiverse with Wii U. Miiverse launched with Wii U and it came to 3DS later, so I don't really, I don't think anything regarding Miiverse can really, be taken as a sign for anything 3DS related. I really do more associate that with the Wii U. And of course, everyone knows the Wii U is pretty much dead at this point, but Andre, I think you hit the nail on the head. There definitely are still people playing Splatoon 1 and obviously Smash Wii U and the original Mario Kart 8, and I kind of think it is too soon. It doesn't really jive with Nintendo's, continuing, even if it is silly, their continuing narrative that the Wii U, they're continuing to support the Wii U alongside the 3DS and Switch. The writing's on the wall. We know why Miiverse is going to be shut down. It's because the Wii U is dead. But it does feel a bit soon. Like, I think spring 2018 or summer 2018 might have been a better fit, just because it does feel like Nintendo's kind of prematurely, I don't want to say giving Wii U owners the middle finger, but at the same time, it kind of does feel like...
Yeah,
a little bit. I mean, it's also funny because some services are still around. Like, I didn't even realize this, but isn't the Wii eShop still available? Like, can't you still get games off the Wii eShop?
Yeah, the Wii Shop channel is still up there. You can still go and buy N64 games for 1,000 Wii points, I think.
Which is surreal.
I mean, another point of comparison is it's not quite the same because you can still play Wii U games online as well. But Nintendo kept the online service for the Wii going until 2014. So it's barely like the Wii U's corpse is barely cold at this point, and they're already shutting things down for it. It does seem like a little bit premature. I mean, personally,
I'm reminded of Emperor's New Groove. It's like Cusco's dead. Well, he ain't getting any deader. Let's move on.
Right, that's what it seems like how Nintendo's treating this whole thing. So, I mean, again, like, I personally I'm not that upset because I probably won't be playing my Wii U much anymore. But again, though, if I ever want to go back to Mario Maker, like, that's a huge loss. Like, it sucks that you're losing all those comments. Like, I even like going on other people's levels and seeing their comments, what people had to say about them. So, yeah, that's one specific case that really does bug me, but I really did like that game.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's a shame, like, across the board, in my opinion.
Do you think, like, do you wish it had kept Miiverse going, like, across all platforms? Like, do you wish it had come to the Switch, and that they had continued to invest in this and make it better?
I mean, I do, but not in its current form, because, I mean, it was so clunky to use. Now, I'm sure it would be less clunky to use with a multi-touch interface. If they actually were to rebuild, Miiverse from the ground up for Switch, I think it would be, more fun to use on Switch, but the way that it existed on Wii U and 3DS, it was just the slowest, most awkward social media network to use. So, in that sense, no, but at the same time, I do wish they would keep the idea of Miiverse going, and they may yet be with games like Splatoon 2. But I am going to miss the concept of it, but not the execution.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with
that. Good point there. I mean, we saw right from the beginning, like, Twitter integration on the Switch, like, and having all those tags ready to go for where you can post your screenshots directly to Twitter. So it really, like, that's a pretty good sign that, okay, Miiverse is pretty much done. Here's our replacement. We're just going to use the existing social media, which is basically what they said in this Q&A.
I think as you guys touched on, like, Miiverse is pretty clunky. That's why I never used it on the Wii U, basically. Outside of the in-game functionality, which I did like, I almost never went to Miiverse via the Wii U's app, because it took so long to load up, like, everything on the Wii U. I never bothered with it. I did use it occasionally for my browser, though, but that was way better on my computer. Using Miiverse on the computer is way better than on the actual console. I will say, I do like that Nintendo is allowing you to download your history. Like, that's kind of cool of them. Even if I have no interest in seeing my own history and saving that. But it is nice that they're at least extending that much. But yeah, the whole thing is, I do think it's just a little bit too soon for it, so...
I would say I actually do agree with that. That does seem like a surprisingly un-Nintendo thing to do, to, offer for users to be able to download their entire post histories, which I think is really cool. For people like us, it doesn't make a big difference. But, there are I don't know how they do it, but there are so many talented Miiverse artists out there who really did incredible posts, and it would have been an actual shame to see all that work just disappear.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm really glad that Nintendo's kind of, extending an olive branch to those Miiverse artists and being like, hey, come get your stuff.
I think perhaps the biggest disappointment about this, and again, it's not that huge of a deal, but the fact that, we have seen games like Splatoon 2 already incorporate Miiverse-like functions. I'm sure we'll see that in some other games too that really needed it, like Mario Maker 2, if that ever comes out. But there are times when games are incorporated that, they didn't need it, but there were nice features, like, as I mentioned, Wind Waker HD. I doubt we'll see any Miiverse-like functionality in any future Zeldas. I don't think they would make a service to write messages in a bottle. Whereas, that was something that they probably incorporated pretty easily and had a desire to because Miiverse already existed as a platform. So I do think it's a little bit disappointing we're going to miss out on those features potentially. Again, not a big deal, but, I don't know.
Well, and they also may be replaced by similar features that just, integrate with existing social media platforms. Again, like in Splatoon 2. So it may not be such that those things are going to go away. It's just that they're going to maybe show up in Switch games in slightly different forms. But yeah, I mean, it may just be trading, integrating with their own social media network for integrating with actually popular social media networks.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing's a little bit weird, right? Because there are things you do in Miiverse you wouldn't share on Twitter, for instance. I would say most things you're posting in Miiverse you wouldn't want to share publicly. So
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's probably at least for anyone who's ever drawn a picture for the Smash stage. Yeah,
It's not so much for the artists anymore. The Twitter feature in Switch. It's more for like sharing screenshots. That's where you're going to get your creativity. Like that's how the whole When She Splats thing came out, as because somebody took a screenshot of that, shared it to Twitter, and then it blew up.
Yeah.
let me tell you what I would like. I actually would like to see some kind of social network integration beyond just posting to it on Switch. Like, I think what would be really cool is if there was almost a Miiverse Lite, where whatever you share, via the, whatever you share to Twitter via your Switch, automatically gets posted to a feed that all your friends can see. So they can see that maybe it can go by hashtags, for instance, or something. But maybe you can bring up a feed of what your friends are sharing to Twitter via your Switch. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like, it just gives you a feed of what people are talking about, from their games, without it being inundated with all the other crap on Twitter. So
You're presuming a lot there, like the idea
Yeah.
that NCL even knows what a hashtag or a channel or a feed or any of those
I'm
things
just saying
are.
it'd be nice. I'm not saying
No,
they
yeah.
will. I don't
Oh,
see
it would
that
be.
happening.
Yeah.
Have you seen their meme attempts?
God. Do they involve Mii's?
No.
I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. That
Right?
seems like such.
Yeah.
That seems like
Memes?
just. Yeah, that's like the lowest branch you could possibly like. How have they not done that?
Thank you.
No problem. No, I mean, to be fair though, it kind of is. And you also come up with a lot of really good puns too. So we all.
Thanks, Ash. I
We all get a
appreciate
few. Yeah. No worries.
Throw them that treat.
I think, guys, we all are missing on the biggest downside to all of this. By the way, we haven't touched on this yet. I can't believe there hasn't been more outcry about this. That's part of the Miiverse shutting down. Nintendo is also shutting down the Wii U chat functionality, where you can chat.
You know my reaction to that?
What?
There was a Wii U chat.
Don't you remember from the initial launch trailer that no one ever actually used?
I used Wii U chat once, and you know what? It was actually pretty cool. Like if you had any friends who cared enough to actually want to video chat through Wii U, it actually is pretty cool. But again, you're never going to do that.
Don't you mean if you had any friends that owned a Wii U?
That too. So it's like, and even for those who do, why wouldn't you just FaceTime or something like that?
Right.
Or Skype video chat. So again, just one of those things that it actually was pretty cool if you had a reason to use it, but why would you ever?
Well, guys, any final thoughts all about anything related to Miiverse we haven't touched on yet, or you wanted to expand upon?
Nah, I'm pretty good. I mean, there's some definite loss here, but nothing too major, at least for me personally, and at least for those who hope that might have felt something major outside of games, can preserve their work, their previous, all the stuff that they did. So there are, at least Nintendo took steps for that. It sucks for the games, but maybe they saw how much is, how many people are actually playing the Wii U anymore and decided, yeah, we're not wasting money on this.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as a bummer. I mean, I'm obviously not going to go lose sleep over it or anything. Like, I think it's a shame, and, it's going to be one of those things where it's just going to kind of sting every time I play Smash with friends, being after it's November 8th, correct? Is that it? Mm-hmm. Is it? Yeah, so, anytime I go back and play Smash with friends after November 8th, it's going to sting every time I, see that Miiverse stage in the menu and realize it's not working as intended anymore, because
Right.
it really has brought me and my friends so many good laughs. But in a business sense, I can see why they're doing it, and I just hope that maybe, personally, for Smash Switch, maybe they will include, like, a localized little, social network interface type thing where you can post similar, art and post to a similar stage.
There's
Probably
no way.
not.
No
Yeah,
way.
I don't think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think so, but... Yeah, for me, that was its most enduring legacy as a big Smash player, and I'm going to miss it. But, I'm not going to go, obviously, lose sleep over Miiverse dying or anything,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, if Smash Switch does end up being a port or based on Smash Wii U, do you think they'd even bother bringing the Miiverse stage over at all?
Nah,
Probably
they would just take the songs that are in that stage and just throw them into other stages.
I want an actual Nintendo Land stage.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
With that song.
I'd be all about that. Yeah, no,
Right.
so I don't think the actual stage itself will come back, but I do think that the music that they had in that stage's My Music list will just get thrown into different stages.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird. Like, again, I already said before, like, I don't care that much. But it's a little bit, it's just like a little bit sad in some way. Like it almost feels like, you know, there was this whole community there. Like I always liked knowing that it was there, even if I didn't partake in it too much. So it does hurt like just a little bit that they're shutting it down. It reminds me a little bit of, to say a little bit again, but I'm using that a lot. It reminds me a bit when Nintendo first shut down the, oh god, what was it called? The Insider Forums, I think, on their website. They actually used to have their own forums.
Right.
And they shut those down, I think, early 2000s-ish. And again, it's something I never really used that much, but I kind of liked it was there. Like it was like a relatively safe place you could go to talk with other Nintendo fans. And so yeah, like that kind of sucked them to shut that down too. And again, you need to get over it. You forget about it, it doesn't really matter. But I'm feeling that just a little bit right now. You know, a year from now, probably a week from now, I won't care at all. But in this very moment, it's like, oh, that's a little bit sad, you know. But what can you do?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, well on that note, I think we're about done here, so thanks guys for watching, and let us know what you think about Miiverse shutting down in the comments below, by the way. I'm a little bit curious to see what you all think of this. And of course, make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on Nintendo in general, not involving Miiverse, and everything else Nintendo as well. This is a weird outro, and I'm done. Catch you later. Bye.